Sam Hirst, you are the owner of DoorScale. You got sick and tired of working 40 hours a week for somebody else and decided you want to work 75 hours a week for yourself instead. Tell me about DoorScale. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we, coming from my background of running meta ads for people in the short-term rental space, I realized I could help short-term rental property managers. It's kind of a small niche, but I help short-term rental property managers grow their companies with ads. And so I help them with marketing and sales, primarily on the marketing side, and then I consult a little bit on the sales side if they're not good at closing. But for DoorScale specifically, we create book a call systems. So property managers typically want to talk with owners in their areas to close them. Just having conversations is pretty important. And so we have a system where people are get interested in their offers, book a time on their calendar, and then all that they have to do is they just have to show up and ideally close or have their sales system in place. So yeah.
Ideally close or get you to do the closing if they're not good at it yet.
Well, I haven't figured out a way of doing it myself yet for them. I can help coach them and consult them on the sales side, but I don't really do the sales side yet for them. I more so help put all the resources together so they can kind of figure it out. Maybe that's in the future, but
yeah, something I found through, and not to do all the teaching, we're in like minute 1 or 2 right now, but something I found through interviewing so many people is that people will start a business and they'll be like the solopreneur, or maybe they've got a small team, but a business requires sales. It requires the actual service to be done. It requires marketing and accounting. And you either do all this yourself or you outsource it. And so how often are these people good at managing short-term rentals and also good at sales?
That's a great question. It's a lot more rare to find somebody who's good at both because short-term rental property management is really, it's operations for most of it. It's managing guests, it's cleaning for these Airbnbs. For anybody who doesn't know really what a short-term rental or vacation rental is, it's basically Airbnbs. And so it's managing 1,000 fires at once, and whoever does that the best typically gets the best reviews, has the lowest churn. And so, yeah, a lot of the times they're not good at sales. Those who have more than typically 30 to 50 properties, somewhere in that range and above, they're usually pretty decent at sales. They can usually do it quite well. When they're smaller than that, they're usually figuring it out and they're not quite good. So if I put 100 appointments on their calendar for month 1 or maybe more realistically 20 appointments in the first month, they might only close 1 or 2 like really interested owners versus a client I have, they have 200 properties. They've got a sales guy and he's amazing. So he closes 30%, 40%. So yeah, you're right.
And what do you think makes that difference in like them being good at selling? Because it's the same product, same service that they're all providing, right? And I'm sure they have varying levels of how good they are at providing that service.
Yes. Yeah.
But is it some are just better at communicating their value than others, or what makes the difference, you think, between those who can close those deals that you make for them?
Yeah. That's a big question. So what I do with my clients is I help uncommoditize their service. So when you go to a property manager, typically what people do is they say, okay, here's the big dog in this place, in the space. Here's Vacasa, here's Casago. They do property management. They're charging 10%. They're charging 15%. Why are you charging 20? And so that's what some people do when they come to them. And so what I go in and do is I help these property managers create offers that are uncommoditized, and they're not comparable to just typical property management services, or it's harder to compare them. So it's by making their offers unique, because when it's commoditized, it's really hard. Now, granted, if you have a really good closer and you have a commoditized service where everyone's very much the same and it's kind of race to the bottom, good closers can still close deals. But when you have an offer that's unique and differentiated, you don't have to play the same game. And so it's easier to close. So I try and make sales easier by making it less necessary for my clients, first off, by helping them make a unique, differentiated offer with very similar to $100 million offers from Alex Ramosi. So I help implement that. And then when they go to close, it's much easier because they're different. It's harder to compare. And then I also help them handle the objections of, when they do try and get commoditized. So.
And as far as your service, I've become enamored lately with this idea of like, you can be different, better, or special, or you can just copy what somebody else is already doing. Just literally cut and paste. Just do what that company's already doing. Not even better. Just do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that there's a company that like you're copying, or are you aiming to be better than another company, or how would you relate yourself to the garbage that I just said?
So, yeah, because there's the art of copying, which is if you're able to tastefully and carefully copy those who are successful, they're successful for a reason, right? And so when you copy, you're able to miss a lot of the mistakes and failures they had to go through. There's a danger in that as well. The danger is that you don't have the same advantages that they do. And so, for example, if you're a business, like I see this a lot in the SaaS world, just coming from SaaS and still consulting in telehost, they'll say this company, X company, charges $19 a month for this service, $19 or $35 for the premium, whatever. And it's like, okay, cool. And they're like, so we should charge that. And it's like, okay, do you have 200,000 current customers? No. Do you have 50 million, 200, 300 million in funding? No. Can you float not having to make that money back for the next year and a half? No. Okay. You can't copy. You're not going to make the money back. And so there's things you can copy for, there's certain processes like at IntelliHost, one of the things that we're working on right now is onboarding. And so we're trying to improve our churn rate by improving the onboarding process. And some things that competitors are doing really well is they'll do like an onboarding call once a week where they help people learn the softwares. And that is something I think if we implement, that would increase our churn rate and do really well because it doesn't inherently rely on us having the same advantages that they do. So I guess in your question also, like, where am I in comparison to the market? I guess you could put me in the box. A lot of people want to, put a certain business in a box. I guess the box that I would be put in is, an ads agency for vacation rental owners. I don't like agency models. I feel like they're a little bit kind of a leechy thing to do. And so,
why is that?
What?
Why is that? What do you think it's like a leechy thing to do?
Well, there's so many teenage and college-aged guys that dropped out of high school that buy courses that tell them how to do a Facebook ads agency. Like I see so many people teaching the courses, so many people taking the courses. I get reach outs from people who have not gone to school, have not worked for other people, have not gone to college saying, hey, should I make an agency because I'm doing one? And the reason why that's an issue is because it's a race to the bottom. They try and get clients. They do a really bad job because they don't make enough money from each client. And they make immense promises to get their first clients that they can't fulfill on. And so everybody's making big promises. Very few people are actually making getting the dream outcome. And so you have a lot of dissatisfied people. And so if I was to say that I am a Facebook ads agency, I kind of inherently put myself in with that category. And I'm very much not that. At least I'm trying very much to provide something much better. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, I derailed you a little bit, but I was just curious because I've talked to somebody who owns an agency on this show, James Lincoln, and he was great. And he was the one who first gave me the idea of like, I remember the way he said it, he was like, dude, you don't even have to do it better. Cause we were talking about like, how could somebody replicate, like, how can they find success? And I threw out the idea of like, yeah, just do that, but try and be a little bit better. And he was like, don't even be better. Just do that. Like, of course, being better is great, but like, there's a reason they're successful. And, I've noticed it from him. I've noticed it from other sources where people will say like, just copy and paste what somebody's already doing. And I forgot his first name. Was it Chris Corner? He was just on the Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. He's like the king of side hustles, basically, is his brand.
Oh yeah.
And he kind of mentioned the same thing. And he's like, you don't even have to do something better. Like, just look at what a business is already doing, validate that it might work in your market, and just go do that same thing. And so this idea of just copying and pasting has been in my mind lately, especially. And I think the agency model is like the easiest one you can start. Because if you have
for sure
a laptop, if you have just a phone even, then you could start an agency. And even with just a phone, like, you could do business and have satisfied customers if you know what you're doing. But because the barrier to entry is so low, there are a lot of leechy agencies out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes I guess I focus a little bit too much on avoiding being typecast or perceived. For me, perception is a big thing. For example, there's providing value to a client, and then there's increasing perceived value to a client. So it's like providing actual value is you get them 10 booked calls a week, let's say. That's actual value. They can close more clients. They can make a lot of money with that.
Yeah.
Perceived value would be you get them 10 calls a week, but increasing the perceived value would be doing, I guess perceived value would be doing a review after those calls, maybe doing a little bit of code. Like actually that's a bad example because that's like a number. You can't increase the perceived value of a number very easy. Well, actually, here's a good story. Actually, this isn't even my story, but perceived value in the UK. I don't even remember what year this was. They had their train system in London in the UK, and this was before they had maps with, or they had the live times to destinations. And so they got together and they tried to figure out how much it would cost to. They were getting a lot of complaints that the trains took too long, and so all the engineers got together and they tried to figure out how to make things a lot faster, to reduce minutes between destinations. And they put together like this multi-billion-dollar kind of plan. I'm sure you've heard of the story.
I think I know where you're going with this, but I know of one with the Atlanta airport. That's a kind of a similar,
very
similar deal.
Very similar. Yeah. So they put this plan together. And in the meantime, what they did is they added the time to destination. So people knew, okay, instead of just waiting and then just taking forever, they said, okay, it's going to take 45 minutes or 46 minutes. And even though it was a lot longer than what they thought it was going to take, the fact that they knew that it was going to take that long made their experience better, and it decreased the amount of complaints dramatically, way more than increasing the speed to destination. And so that's why perceived value and value often come from how you compare yourself to others. And so that's why I'm very careful with it. I do agree though. I absolutely agree with take what other people are doing and copy it masterfully. I think that's a great way of going places quickly.
So with DoorScale then, like what gave you the idea to start DoorScale? Like, was there a competitor that I see them, they're doing great at this, I bet I could do that too? Or what was the inception of this idea for you?
For me, so I have been doing a lot of networking over the past couple of years, just being in marketing and sales and wanting to grow my career. It's a good thing to get out and network and talk to people.
Sure. And
there's been a lot of guys my age that I've met that have started their own businesses, and many of them agency owners, in fact, brilliant agency owners. Like, for example, Connor Welch. He's one of my good friends. Brilliant guy in the e-commerce space. He's actually coached me on a lot of different things. We've worked together in IntelliHost even. So he's very, very brilliant. And so I was actually just doing networking and learning from these guys. And while I was at IntelliHost, I realized that what I knew I was capable of and what I was able to do at just the one company were two very separate things. And as I continue to grow my friend group and grow these relationships with these brilliant guys who are agency owners and company business owners, I realized that I had the abilities just like they did. I had the time, and I especially had some skills even that they didn't have that would give me success like they had. And so I realized it was the act of doing and not so much growing up, I thought that I wasn't the kind of person who would have a successful business, and I realized that was just a limiting belief. And so at IntelliHost, I started hitting some of those walls of, I think this would help the business. This would help the business. We need to change our offer. And I wasn't really able to do that because it wasn't my company. The business had grown.
How big was the company as far as headcount?
So we'd grown it from, in 2022, we started in 2022, and then it grew to about 1.8 million earlier this last year, up to 20 something people, low 20s.
Kind of past the point where you can make big calls on your own.
Yeah, I can't just walk into Jeff's office or the owner, Jeff Brown, and just be like, hey, I think we need to change X, Y, and Z. Like, instead I have to go to the sales team and be like, hey, this will help, and then go to the account management team. And so started hitting a lot of those roadblocks. Then I started like I started causing more problems than was probably good for the company because I had a lot of really, ideas that I thought were good. And so, that's why I decided to start DoorScale. Is I realized if I owned my own company, I could make my own mistakes and screw up my own company as much as I wanted instead of trying to force other people to do so.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've had similar issues at companies where like I want to make big changes, but you gotta have a meeting with marketing, gotta have a meeting with sales and accounting, and every department gets a say, even when you don't feel like they should be in charge of this.
Yeah,
it's like I thought this was under my ownership, so good to know that it's not.
Yeah, yeah,
and that's always fun. But hey, what can you do? Jobs,
and
right?
I'm egotistical, I'm prideful, and I know that. And I also realize like if I'm going to be egotistical and prideful, I should do that on my own dime and not on company policy. So company pay. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it? Do you feel like that made you especially prepared to make the jump? Like, did you have a large savings already in place? Did you already have like, oh, this is the playbook that we're going to run, or like? What was it that made you feel prepared to make that jump? Because it was a recent thing, right?
Yeah, great question. So a whole lot of things kind of come together. The first was my wife and I have been living very frugally over the past 3 or so years. And granted, I haven't made a ton of money either, but she's been doing some side projects. She's a full-time mom, but she's been taking on some side projects and some side work from time to time. We'll just save that. And then I'm working full time, but we're living far below our means. And so like right now we live in a 2-bedroom apartment. We've got our 2 boys, me and my wife. We might even stay there. Like when we have our 3rd kid, we'll just put a bunk bed in the room because, rent is super cheap. And so we can just keep banking that money. But over the last 2 years, that's essentially what we did is I would take on side work. I would save my main job and we just saved it. So until we had no debt. And then we kind of built up a bit of a war chest to the point where I realized, holy crap, if I did nothing and played video games for, a couple of years, we would be okay. We would
couple
survive.
Years. That's not bad. I was expecting 6 months to a year. A couple years.
Right, exactly.
Props to you. Good job.
Well, I guess I might have to have like a part-time job or something like that, but enough to where, I wouldn't really have to worry about it for a while. So I was like, okay, so if I was an absolute bum, we the worst case isn't really that bad. And so I had that realization, and we've been very frugal. So it enabled me to kind of be able to take a jump if we needed. And then just some things at the company were starting to happen as well that pushed me to think about like what do I want to do with my company when I have one. I've always kind of had that idea that I want to do something someday. So that was turning in my mind. Then I had a couple lunches with buddies of agencies and companies, and I was like, holy crap, these guys aren't geniuses. Like they're smart, brilliant buddies, but
no, I get what you're saying. Like I've talked to a handful of people here, online, DMs, comments, everything, and it's like the difference between me and the guy who makes a lot more money than me is not huge.
Yes.
Like mentally, like he has different experience, different network, and I'm not trying to make little of anybody.
Yes.
But like if you think that somebody who's making a lot more money than you is way smarter than you, like then you just proved it right. Because like that's a dumb thing to think. Like once you actually meet successful people, like they're just normal dudes.
Yes.
Like they had a good idea and they're just like working hard at something, or somebody else had a good idea and they're working hard at that. But like we're all the same here. Like
that's exactly
there's little variation as far as like mental capacity. Like,
exactly.
They're not geniuses. They're doing great, and a lot of them are smart. But
and there's a lot less magic than I thought there was. And so there was that. So there's war chest magic, and then I got to a point where I was like, I had my bodybuilding competition. I did a bodybuilding competition in August.
Prove it.
And what?
Prove it. Let's see.
It. Well, I put on a lot of weight since then, but
a lot of mass. You mean?
A lot of muscle. It's just pure bulking. But so I did that. That was one of the hardest things I did. Lost a lot of weight, lost like 3 pounds a week for like 8 weeks straight to get ready for it because I procrastinated losing weight. But I did it. One of the hardest things I did. And then after that, I had this, or right before that, when I was going through that really hard period, I realized if I can do like hard things, like what are some of the hard things that I'm not doing that I should be doing? And I realized like, hey, like when am I going to start my own business? And my wife and I talked about it. She's like, well, we should pray about it. We're very religious. And so I was like, I haven't prayed about it yet. And I've been having these thoughts. And so we kneeled down, we prayed about it. And the next morning, that's a big decision, starting a company and quitting your previous job. The next morning when I woke up after we prayed about it, like I sat up and just the one sentence in my mind was, you're wasting your time.
Mm.
Like a lightning bolt. Like I sat up and I just knew I'm wasting my time. And I don't wake up like that. I rarely get those kinds of thoughts. And it just hit me like a truck. And I was like, okay, we prayed about it. This is obviously a prompting. And so that's when I decided to really make the change, because we had the war chest. I realized there's no magic to it. And then it just, God told us. So
yeah.
Do
you have examples of entrepreneurs like early on in your life, like growing up? Were your parents entrepreneurs or family members?
Yeah. So my mom actually is a really good example. She's had multiple ventures that she's tried over the years. One of them, she tried to do a pen cleaning company called Pass a Pen.
Pen cleaning?
Pen cleaning. So it cleans your pens. So this was back in 2010 or 12 or something. So she tried that. Didn't quite work out. I have an uncle who is an entrepreneur. He tries and builds businesses. He's actually fairly successful right now, actually. And then my grandpa was a salesman. So lots of marketers and salesmen, and then attempts at entrepreneurship in my family.
Mm-hmm.
But no one's really cracked anything.
Yeah.
So there's been some shots on goal, but nothing crazy.
So I want to walk through one of your LinkedIn posts then, about first week or first day starting your business, because I love thinking about these like early moments of when people start their businesses, and also looking back at like early examples, because I worked for an uncle, and I posted about this on LinkedIn as well, but I worked for an uncle who he owned his own business. It was like an entertainment business, but then he also owned some rental properties, and so I was a general laborer basically, and like digging. Actually, you commented on this post, and I posted a picture of me in a trench because I had dug down. We're digging down to a water line for his rental properties. And anyway, I had early examples of entrepreneurship. And I think it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, was getting to allegedly break child labor laws, and have a job.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know the post now.
Have a job at a very young age. Well, not single digits, but like a very young teenager.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
I'm making my own money, and I'm learning from somebody who owns and runs multiple businesses.
Yes.
And I thought that was awesome. I wasn't there for the inception of his business because I was pretty young, but I was there a couple of years later.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an early influence on me that I hope to give to my children, and my nephews and nieces and anybody I can. So looking at the first week or first day of starting your business, you posted on LinkedIn that you launched your first website and booked an appointment within 24 hours with 0 ad spend. Were you expecting that kind of result?
No. So, no, I wasn't. So, and I've been putting off making that website for a while, primarily because I tend to be a perfectionist. And so I've made a lot of websites in the past. And so I knew that I would probably spend a lot of time on my own. And I think I got over that quite a bit, actually. So I kind of built and launched that within just a few days, thankfully, not like weeks and weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. And that one call was from one of my clients mentioning me to one of his clients. And so they looked me up and found my website. And so if my website wasn't there, they wouldn't have booked a call with me. Maybe they would have reached out or found me eventually on LinkedIn or whatever. But yeah, I mean, because I had that up, they were able to just look up kind of who I was and what I was doing, and then able to book a call right on my website. So that was very nice.
Do you know the quote, luck is the intersection of preparation and an opportunity? I think I might be misquoting it a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that concept?
Yes.
Have you thought about that as you like, they didn't find you through an ad to your website. Mm-hmm. They found you through an existing client who then said, go to his website. But if your website hadn't have been there, then, I mean, would they really have found you? Like, would they really have reached out?
Yep.
If you hadn't already built the lead collection system, if you hadn't de-frictionalized that process for them?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And that's actually, that's a concept I'm trying to really capitalize on right now in the business, which is, the more assets you have. So it's a hard dichotomy when you're a business owner because it's there's so many things you need to do, but the question is, what is the thing that will move the needle the most that you have resources to do?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I know how to build websites. I know how to build funnels. I know how to run ads. I can do it for myself quite well. I can do it for other people quite well. But also, I mean, I should probably make some courses. I should probably make some free stuff, which I'm working on right now. I'm making some free stuff. I'm making like a school group, a community. I'm going to try and make that as valuable as possible. I'm trying to do content. As you know, business owners typically, you have to do some sort of content, right? You got to do like 4 hours of content or ads. You got to do something to make yourself known. But essentially, like also making free stuff that's very valuable. Like that's kind of top of mind for me. And so when it comes to building assets like websites and courses, it's always tough for me to know what to work on next. But I think a website was a good call. Really for any business owner, I think that's obviously one of the first things you do is like you build a website so people can find you. I think being able to find someone, one of the most important things you can do, even if your sales isn't completely down pat, or if your delivery isn't down pat, if you're able to be discovered, you get more shots on goal, you get more chances to make mistakes. And so that's kind of a period of business I'm in right now is how do I increase shots on goal?
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. The number of other people I see on LinkedIn who are like host of whatever podcast, I go to their LinkedIn page and they don't have a link anywhere to their show. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's such a low effort thing. Like, put a link either in your headline or in your contact info or the about you section. Like, it is such a small thing. And it's like, I have to dig, like, you know, I'm creeping onto those shows. Like, of course, I'm looking at the competition. Yes. Like, where are we at here? But if I can't even find your show, like, all right, well, you're not competition then. Like, yeah. And not that it's a zero-sum game, but, you know, I want to know, like, how I feel about this podcast versus the quality of another podcast. Like, I'm looking that stuff up. You know, I'm checking out the competition. But it's such a ridiculous thing. Like, make yourself known. Like, if you can be found, you should also be able to, like, close the deal. And with a podcast, close the deal is go watch my podcast. Unless they have some other element of their business.
Exactly. And do you see that with smaller sized podcasts primarily, I'd assume?
I see it with solopreneurs like myself and also organizations that have a podcast.
Really?
Which I think is, I'll just call them out. Silicon Slopes. They, and they're not the worst offender. They're not, you know, anything like that. And they're a great organization. But I saw this yesterday where like they posted something about having, I don't remember who the guest was, but some guest on their podcast. And I had to dig for the episode and I had to look them up on LinkedIn. They do have a playlist that is where they like host their podcast, but then they're not adding the recent recordings to that playlist on YouTube. And so you have to like really dig to find the video. It's a little easier to find audio only, but I don't know. I'm a visual guy. Yeah. And so like when I listen to a podcast, well, I'm watching a podcast or like it's on my phone, but to the side or something. Yeah. But yeah, like other small creators like myself, like if you're making yourself hard to find, well, then you won't be found. Yeah. And I know Silicon Slopes, they don't really care as much to build the podcast into like a massive thing, but it did feel weird that it was kind of hard to find the video version of the podcast.
Yeah, you'd think it would be a lot easier with this, especially the size of some organizations.
Yeah.
You realize it's probably some employee has it on their to-do list, but they have like a bunch of meetings with corporate and they probably, just probably forgot it, or they posted it and they checked off the whole posting thing and they forgot some of the subtasks, which I do sometimes too.
Yeah, like I do all the time.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to have a link. Yeah. You got to have a link.
Yeah, and it was just so weird. Like I could find the audio only very easily, but if the announcement post that you're putting on LinkedIn is a picture of everybody sitting together and it's like that was obviously taken from a camera, well, where can I see it then? And that's what I couldn't find. Like it felt weird.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to touch one more time as well on, you mentioned there's all these things. I think a lot of people don't realize, like you mentioned it, but as an entrepreneur, as someone early on, there's all these things that have to get done. Like I'll talk about the podcast again. Yeah. I know that I need to find new guests to interview. I know that I need to make new clips and post those a couple times a day. I know that I should also be, just filming myself from my phone and posting those videos to like grow my personal brand alongside the podcast. I know I should be posting on LinkedIn. There's all these things like just in my little sphere where I also have a school community that I'm mostly neglecting.
Same.
I know there's opportunity there. We've got almost 200 members, and that's cool. But
Hey, let's go.
I mostly.
Why
didn't
am I
build
not
it.
part of this? What the heck?
I'll send you a link afterward.
Okay, yeah.
I think you'd like it, actually.
Yeah.
Well, if you contribute. Most people don't contribute. But
I'll contribute.
anyway, like there's all these things that, if I'm thinking about like my little brother or a nephew or some like kid who's in school, like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. Like you have to realize that there's a million things that need to get done in a small business.
Yeah.
But one of your biggest jobs is just finding out and determining like, well, what's really going to move the needle most and letting everything else be on fire. And you're kind of just like, all right, this is on fire. That's on fire. Like, okay, I'll stamp that one down a little bit. It's going to come back, and you're just like, you're playing whack-a-mole really. Like it just keeps coming, but you got to decide what's most important at the time.
Yep. 100%. I think for me as well, there's the time portioning and the prioritization, which is exactly what we're talking about. And then there's also what do you do when you do have some free time as well? When you're an entrepreneur or you have that free time, do you have the self-discipline to use the additional free time to benefit the business or your family, or like, do you use your time wisely and valuable? Because like sometimes I will set, and often I've been a lot more intentional about this lately, but I will set periods of time where it's like, I'll try and make sure I don't have client calls or I don't post content, and I'll just have kind of deep work periods. But it's really easy because I know it's a deep work period. I know I have basically nothing else to do during that period. It's really easy for me to put things in there that shouldn't be in there. And so that discipline is really tough. I'm obviously in the thick of it, just trying to figure out how to have that discipline.
What are those things that creep in? You've got your deep work, but what are the small things that need to get done, but are not real needle movers?
Yeah. So for example, say a automation on the back end of a lead nurture campaign for one of my clients. There's an issue with one of the zaps or one of the little automations. It's not firing correctly. And they figured it out and they emailed me. And that's an important issue, but it's not like game ending. It's not like they're losing deals. It's just, it makes a little bit of a mess in Go High Level or in their CRM. And I want to fix that. And so I'll slip that in halfway through. And that'll actually take me a few hours because holy crap, I didn't realize this was an issue. Why is this app not firing? I go in and I look at the logs. I have to see, okay, this person did this, but this person didn't do this. Why did this person not do that? Okay. And so like automations especially, there's so many steps and things you have to look at. It always takes more time than I think it's going to. That's one example. Another one would be like, a question from a client or a question about ad performance or things like that. I typically do, honestly, weekly touch bases with my clients, often weekly calls, but just client questions. Since I'm still, consulting at IntelHost, Revenue IQ, random questions from the owner, things like that. So basically it's a lot of communication and error handling that tends to creep in emails and Slack, which I feel like a lot of professionals deal with is the email and Slack.
It's a nightmare.
Creep that gets in especially. And I've actually never been part of a corporate, like a big corporate company. So I have no idea what that's like. From what I've heard, again, I've never been there, but from what I've heard, there's a lot more meetings and a lot more, and that's the stereotype, like in corporations, a lot more meetings, a lot more Slack messages and memos and things like that. But that's something I deal with.
So relative to deep work and productivity then, like what are your thoughts on, so I've heard that if anything's going to take you less than 5 minutes, just do it now. If you think about it now, do it now. Oftentimes you think it's going to take 5 minutes and it takes 45 minutes. Like in reality, that's what ends up happening. Or like, I need to respond to that email. Okay, yeah, I'll do that right now, 5 minutes. But then it's like, okay, I wrote it in 5 minutes, but no, I need to edit that. Typos. Is that really clear? Is that what I meant to say there? Is there anything else I should say? And now you're looking at 20 minutes. Like, so what are your thoughts on deep work versus this concept of, I don't want to lose these other small things, and so maybe I'll just do them right now? Like, do you find yourself in the practice of, I thought about it now, so I'll do it now?
Yeah, I find when deep work, for me personally, it's a non-negotiable that basically everything goes dark. Sorry, I almost hit that. It's almost, it's like I've started turning off my phone like completely, closing my email tabs, closing my Slack so it doesn't pop up, basically having to just close everything because I'm not a good multitasker. And like what you said, it bleeds over really quick into 20, 30, 40 minutes. And because especially when you go on one task, then you're like, oh, there's this other task I need to do. Oh, and then that reminds you next. And then the whole period is gone. And a lot of people I know, I'm sure have better willpower, better systems for that. I just don't. And so I find when you remove willpower from the equation, I typically do a lot better because things that require willpower from my end aren't sustained. I can do things with willpower, like my bodybuilding competition, but that was for 3 months.
Yeah.
Doing a diet all year round, like some people do on social media, is so tough. And so anything with willpower, I try and keep to a minimum and just engineer my environment to be conducive to that. And then, but I do agree with the 5-minute rule. If I'm on a client call and I'm talking with them and they bring something up that I can do in under 5 minutes, while I'm on the call with my client, I will just do that because I don't want to forget. That happens a lot. I do forget the tasks. And I mean, a lot of things don't get done or get pushed to the side unless they're done immediately. So if I'm in a client call, if I'm on if I'm doing if I'm making content or I'm doing something that's less deep work focused, or if I'm replying to comments, things like that, absolutely. I think the 5-minute rule is a great thing. But when it comes to deep work, like making a course like I'm making right now, or making a funnel page that requires a lot of thinking, absolutely. I just have to block that out.
Yeah, I know you're a Hormozy fan, and what you said just reminded me of like, if it takes 5 minutes, I'm on a client call, I'll just do it right now on the call. Something to like maybe more applicable in the corporate world, maybe applicable in your world too. But I think Alex Hormozy says this, but if it wasn't written down, it didn't happen. And I record almost every, I'm recording this, but I record almost every meeting that I have, because if something was brought up, if there's a deliverable that's needed from me, if there's an action item that I need from somebody else, but I forget that, oh yeah, I'm waiting on them for that. Well, if it wasn't written down, then it didn't happen, because I will forget everything. You can ask my wife. She's not here, but when she gets back in a little bit, you can ask her. I forget everything if it's not in an email, text, or written in some form. And so I've really fallen in love with like AI transcribers. You record a meeting and they'll summarize the meeting and really just put into the notes, like, here's what happened in the meeting and who owes what to whom. I should know who or whom, but all the deliverables. And I feel like AI tools have gotten really great for that.
Yeah. Who do you use right now for call transcribing?
I really like Notion.
I haven't used them.
Yeah,
Notion.
and Notion will just listen in on your meetings, and
then you've got all your deliverables there inside the.
Yeah. Gemini will do it too.
I use Fireflies right now, and it's good.
I was going to ask, like, so what sort of AI tools or other tools are making your business work? Yeah,
I'm using Fireflies right now for calls. I actually use it for like my church calling as well. Just because like you have it during the meeting and then you ask it for what were the deliverables after, just in case you missed it. And then you can review. Makes it so much easier instead of having to write everything down in notes and everything the archaic way. And you missed half of it because you were talking and then you were trying to figure out, did I need to write that down or did I not need to write that down?
Yeah. Like they said 3 things, but only caught 2 of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully I get the other one.
Was that taken care of or
I like Notion better than Gemini, because Gemini will have, it'll say there were like 30 deliverables that were needed from me. I'm like, well, that's not really how it went. Okay. It's almost like arguing with a toxic girlfriend. Yeah. Like that's not how that happened.
I remember like 3 or 4, maybe 5. But yeah, like, wow.
Like, I know I'm missing 3 things that I need to get you, but
yeah.
So I feel like Notion's a little more accurate and
I'll have to try
what's
Notion.
Actually a deliverable.
Okay. That's a good idea. Cause Fireflies, like it can all tie in, but like you have to integrate it. And I've started using Notion. I use ClickUp as well. I wonder if ClickUp has a call tracker. I could look at that. But anything that integrates really seamlessly with my like ClickUp dashboard would be really helpful. So I'll have to look into that.
And I like Notion too, because it asks like, oh, it looks like you're in a meeting. Like I don't have to start it up. It just recognizes.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you're in a meeting. We'll start recording.
Nice.
Well, you don't want us to record? Just hit the X. And so it is much more seamless. Not sponsored unless Notion. We can make something happen.
What tier is that? Is that like the premium tier or whatever?
It's it's not the. You do get a little bit of it with the free tier. Yeah. But it is a paid tier.
Yeah, I guess if I canceled my Fireflies, we'd probably pay for it. So.
Yeah. I think it's worth it. Okay. It's helpful for me.
Sweet. I'll have to try it out.
So when it comes to your education, how much of your education preparing you for this new career of yours has been self-education, and how much of it has been from external sources like books or mentors?
That's a great question. So I do technically have a degree in marketing, bachelor's degree in marketing. doesn't mean anything anymore, unfortunately, because
we did talk some smack on kids without degrees earlier, but doesn't technically mean anything.
I don't think it means anything. I didn't really learn a whole lot. I got a little bit of a network from it, but for the most part, I was already working at Loma Homes during the time I was getting my marketing degree. I was doing most of the stuff my professors were talking about. Like when I had my Google Ads classes, I was running Google Ads and I had some connections there. And so I got the degree, which is nice. But as far as like the actual education that I've received, it's mostly self-education, like overwhelmingly, be out of necessity, because I started working in marketing at Loma Homes, which is at the time, I mean, they still kind of are, but it was an extreme themed vacation rental company in Florida. So headquarters here, but they would buy vacation rentals, large vacation rentals, like really big ones, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bedroom homes in Orlando, and they would extreme theme them. So not just like throw up a wallpaper with Mickey Mouse. They would make a Harry Potter bed. They would make a dragon bed that's like popping out of the wall and encompassing the bed. You're in a dragon. And well, it's not a Harry Potter house. It's a wizard house for legal reasons. But
yeah, don't throw them under the bus here.
No, I'm not gonna do that. And then they also had like a Galaxy house, right? Not Star Wars, Galaxy, and that one
with laser swords, not lightsabers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, laser swords. And so they made these really cool themed houses, and they brought me on at the time as an admin person, and then their marketing person, the social media person, left. And so they just asked me to come on. I was going to school for business management at the time. I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. And so they brought me in as the admin assistant. After a few months, that person left. Was like, hey, do you want to help out with social media? I said, sure. They're like, hey, do you want to help out with our website? Sure. Do you want to help out? And so I just kind of took over the marketing side. And so out of necessity, I just had to start learning all of that stuff, all of the digital marketing side. And then that's what I decided to make my major, because I was doing that for work. And so I really learned everything first, and then just kind of did homework for my major. That was already the stuff that I was doing. But I developed a little bit of an addiction for like YouTube, really, but like learning on YouTube, because podcasts are all on YouTube, and Alex Hormozy's on YouTube, and Jeremy Miner's on YouTube, and a lot of these business gurus, quote unquote, that have a lot of valuable business content in marketing and sales, was all on YouTube. And so I would just start listening to YouTube at the gym. I usually work out in the mornings for an hour and a half, and so I would listen at the gym. I would listen in the shower. I would even at work, I would take a couple hours like every day, just trying to figure out how to do certain things in my task, like building the website, creating ads, things like that. And so I developed that out of sheer desperation, because I didn't know what I was doing for the first couple of years. And then after that, it's been discovering valuable people and consuming all of the content that I possibly can. And just with it's really just the habit of, when I'm at the gym, when I'm on the treadmill, I listen to someone.
Yeah.
When I'm in the shower, I got to be listening to someone. Yeah. It's just a habit. And so it's blessed me tremendously, because when you listen to that much business content from valuable sources, I try and really be careful about who I listen to. When it's really valuable business content and you're listening to it constantly, you have a lot of really good ideas whenever problems come. And so most of it has really YouTube has been my best friend. Books, really the three, Alex Hormozy, $100 million offers, $100 million leads, $100 million money models. Those have been incredible, really life-changing for me. And in fact, at IntelliHost, Revenue IQ, the idea for Revenue IQ partly came because of $100 million offers. We just sat down and worked it out line by line, page by page. Yeah, I saw that. So,
well, you said a lot of really important things here. One of the earliest things you just said in this little snippet was, I started at this company, they asked me to do this, and I said, sure. Okay, then they asked me to do this, and I said, sure. And you mentioned like 3 different examples there. Where do you think your life would be if you hadn't have said, sure, I'll do that? Do you feel like you'd be in a different place?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually very interesting. I really thought about what that would have been like.
Because you've talked a lot about the podcast and Alex Hormozy, and that's awesome. But what about like that first job where they said, hey, do this, and you say, sure?
Yeah, I think if I wouldn't have done that, I mean, I probably would have been they were still hiring for other positions. I probably would have been put in a different position, probably never would have went into marketing. But when I just said yes to stuff, Yeah. So very different life. You know, who knows? Maybe it would have been better.
Yeah,
but
maybe would have been freaking sick.
yeah, maybe I'd be a business owner like 2 years ago, and now I would have had like a multi-million-dollar empire. And maybe now it's terrible. But you know, you never know. So yeah, that's actually a very interesting thought experiment. The thing, my mom is very, very like, she could do anything. She would renovate our homes that we came in. She doesn't have like any sort of trade experience or like plumbing experience but she would like, whenever we would move into a new house, she would always like renovate it off YouTube videos. And so her attitude was always, I can do it. Also partly because we were very, slim pickings growing up. We didn't have a lot of money. So it's not like we could really hire it out, but she was just very resourceful with her own time and talents. And so I took that away, and that belief of like, I can YouTube this, I think really came from my mom. So yeah, I think that's where that, the saying yes to basically anything came from. And now I got to say no to as much as I can, but it's swapped a little bit as a business owner. You have to say no to what isn't pertinent, but.
Why is that? Earlier it was say yes to everything you can, and now it's say no.
Yeah, so you got to say yes until you have the skills, until you have something valuable. You have to do whatever you can to get something valuable, and that requires saying yes to everything and trying everything. And then once you've found your gold, you found something valuable, something you can really do. If you keep doing the same thing that got you there, you have to change. You can't do the same thing that got you to the position where you found the valuable thing, because you'll find a lot of valuable things but never be able to turn them into anything, right? And so for me, what that looks like is a lot of my business buddies will come to me with ideas like of different businesses we could do together, or like partner on.
Yeah.
And now I am to the point now where I'm not a ton, but I will occasionally have these happen where I'm like, great idea, I love that. Probably not a good idea right now because I'm trying to build this. And so I have had a lot of friends and buddies who have had that shiny object syndrome. I think we all know people like that. Just because it's very incentivizing to find something new and cool, and you don't realize that the reason why certain people aren't in that field is because there's a lot of manure you don't see. There's a lot of crap that you didn't realize was there until you really get into it. And so it's like what Alex Hormozi says. It's like there's like that curve. There's like the excitement curve.
Yeah, it's the I just talked about it as well.
There's the valley of
it's
despair.
the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah, you get like overconfident because you don't understand something, and then you start to understand it and realize how much it sucks and you suck at it, and you're in the valley of despair. And then you get better, and then like you try new things, and that sucked, and you keep trying new things and get a little better, and then it turns out to be okay.
Exactly.
But over a long time horizon. Like immediately, it sucks, you suck. You didn't realize it though.
Everything is painful.
Yeah.
And you see something else that's cool, and you're like, oh my gosh, why am I not doing that? And then you switch, and then the whole thing repeats. So in fact, I have a family member who's really struggling with that right now, just jumping from thing to thing to thing, and it's really hard. You want to be honest. You want to be honest because you love them, and you're like, this. If you just stick with this, I promise you'll make money. But they're like, but this other thing is so much more potential every time. And so it's a struggle to watch, but
I get it. I feel it too.
It's hard. You realize everything sucks. You just have to stick with it until you figure out what are your advantages and how can you make it work. So, yeah.
And so with you having to say no to so many other things, that ties back to why I see the shiny object. I see this other thing that could be really great, but you also realize, well, it sucks too. This sucks, that sucks. Yeah. Everything sucks. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's just the suck.
It's a very positive outlook on life. Everything sucks. Everybody,
everything. There's no business that doesn't suck.
Yes.
Everything's going to be tough. And so as you think about your time, like we spoke about free time earlier, how much time are you spending with your family at this point? Like you had a stable W-2 job, but now you're doing a little bit of consulting with that prior company. You're also building this company and trying to grow it, not just work in it, but grow it. So how much time are you spending with your family at this point? Like, is it consuming every waking hour for you?
Not quite yet, which I'm grateful for, because I have my son who's 3 and my other son who's 1.5 years. And they're to the point, it's to the point in life where, because I travel now too. So my current state of business in DoorScale, I'm trying to make my offer and my service something so amazing, or it's just something like as amazing as I can possibly make it personally, without like having to really get A players on to make it better. Like personally, I want to make it as good as possible. And part of that is when I sign new clients, I fly out. I do a white glove experience. I'm there for a couple days. We film, we script, we do an intensive. Like I do everything I can to make it amazing. Then I go home and I pay my own editor. He edits hundreds of ads. And then we make multiple funnels. Like we do the absolute craziest thing you can think of to make sure it works, to make sure the first 10 clients have an amazing experience and they give me raving reviews. And because that's kind of the stage I'm at right now, it means that basically, I mean, my schedule right now is like I kind of wake up 5:30 or 6 typically, which isn't crazy, but go to the gym typically, an hour and a half, come home, shower, get ready, go to work. I typically have, you know, some of my first meetings around 9, and then I typically work until around 6:30 or 7, and then we have one car, so either my wife comes and picks me up. I don't live too far, or I bike. Biking a little bit less because it's getting colder, but so it's yeah. I mean 9 to 6:30 every night, and then I get home and then have about 30 minutes with the boys, bathing them, getting them ready for bed, stories, put to bed. And I think for me, that's the most important time of day is like putting them to bed, because we do a little bit, we call it fun, where we rough and tussle, we read some stories, I tuck them in, you know, we do bath time. And I think if I hit at least one of those days, there's another entrepreneur I was listening to that like you have to hit one of the touch points a day with your kids. And for me, that's what I'm able to do right now. But when I'm traveling, that's impossible. And so lately I've been traveling a little bit more and I'm gone for 3-4 days at a time. So that's a little bit harder, but I probably work, because I also work Saturdays typically. Sundays are for rest, right? Sunday's the Sabbath day. I feel like if you're a man, you shouldn't really have to have 2 days a week. Like if you really need to focus, you should be able to have one really solid day of rest, because I feel like a lot of people on the weekends too, they'll typically procrastinate work during the week, and then on the weekends they'll try and catch up. And so if I don't do that, then I have a really restful weekend or Sunday, I should say. So yeah, I think for me, I've been blessed where it's really 60 to 70-hour work weeks, nothing crazy. Still be home with the kids, except for when I fly out, and obviously it's a lot more work.
How do you feel about the impossible balance that young entrepreneur dads have of spending, like, we both have young kids, and so this is something that I think about too. I have a 3-year-old daughter and a 6-7-month-old son. And you hear so much, or at least I do, maybe it's just my algorithm, you know, the content that I see and the people that I've talked to, like you hear about these early years, like you never get these years back. But if you want to build something meaningful, we're not going to wait 15, 20 years to build this business, right? I'm not going to wait. Like I waited long enough to start this podcast because I thought, you know, I'm not ready, you know, do it later. I'm not going to wait 20 more years to do it. Even though I wake up, also go to the gym, come home, I work. Luckily, I work from home, so I do get to see them in the evenings, you know, have dinner, back to work, go back upstairs for bedtime. Kind of a similar, like, 30 minutes to an hour and a half is what I get with my kids every day. And then the weekends are, I mostly spend time with my kids on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. Get a little bit of work done too. But how do you feel about this impossible balance that the young aspirational dads have with their kids, especially when they have young kids? What are your thoughts on that?
I think I see both extremes are bad. So where it's just you give all your younger years to build an empire. I think that's bad. The absolute extreme where you never see your kids, you're working 12-hour days every day. I think there is more to life than that. I think maybe brief periods is fine. I think if you have to go a month, maybe 2 months where you see your kids very little, I think that's okay. I think large periods where you're a workaholic and you miss out on the families and kids, like, because the thing is, kids are they grow up so fast. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't realize that before, but like when I was married with my wife and we didn't have kids and we were thinking about having or starting a family, all of like me and my friend group, it was all about, you know, traveling. And that's really what it is. Gen Z millennials too, is like traveling, not having kids yet, making a lot of money, There is a lot of great stuff to that too. But it
Yeah,
partially
like
is
money's
because
really sick.
yes,
It's awesome.
100%. But you know, you think life is over when you have a kid, and that's just not the case. Now it is kind of over for the 6 weeks after you have the kid and you're up every night. Like that sucks. But after that period, life isn't over. It's actually really, really great because kids are awesome. And so, but the issue is 2 weeks is huge for a 3-year-old. Like all of a sudden they're saying they're acting differently. They view you differently. Like I was gone for 4 days and I came back home and like my little boy like literally teared up when he saw me. Like for them, 4 days is a huge percentage of their life versus for us, it's almost nothing. And so it's hard. You have to play that dichotomy, and there's no perfect answer. It's really just, you've got a bunch of plates in the air. Which one is the most likely to fall? If your business is going to fail because you're seeing your kids too much, focus on your business. If your kids are struggling and your wife needs you and you're not there, maybe put a little bit more emphasis there. And I wish I had everybody wishes they had the golden bullet, right?
I mean, I called it the impossible balance.
Yeah, exactly. The impossible balance. I think for me though, it's about finding the right times to focus on the family. So it's being there for putting them to bed. That is like the crucial time for me, for my family. And then everything else is okay. I can work pretty much all day. As long as I'm there for bedtime, it'll be okay.
And what about Sam 10 years from now? Do you feel like that's going to be different? Or even 5 years from now, where assuming the business has grown, it maybe doesn't require 60, 70-hour work weeks. Would you continue to work 60, 70-hour work weeks with the young kids, or what do you think you would do there?
Great question. I think if I'm successful and I'm cash flowing, I think I'd definitely focus more on my family.
Yeah.
Unless, I'm sick of my kids,
Yeah. I mean,
once you get working, you love work, right? It's like you can't get enough of it. And then, your wife gets boring, your kids are annoying, right? Might as well just sleep at the office, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, there's always that as an option.
Yeah, that'll probably happen in my midlife, sometime. But before then, I don't think, I try and live without regrets, which is partially why I kind of started my own business, DoorScale. So I try and live without regrets. So I don't think I'll really worry about that too much when I get there.
Mm-hmm. Is that something you try to be aware of right now, or are you just so head down in the work?
Yeah, I'm pretty aware of it. Just because I didn't realize how much I would value spending time with my boys. And then...
Me too. I don't know if that's just like... I don't know what that is, but I didn't think I would love being a dad as much as I do.
Yes, 100%. It's just so much more valuable and more fulfilling than anything else, really. But at the same time, this is the opposite extreme, which is you don't do what's required. Your business doesn't really grow. Competitors take the market. You're left with pennies, and you're left regretting what could have been. And now you're working a 40-hour job for the rest of your life because you never made the right sacrifices at the right time. Mm-hmm. And I've seen a lot of people like that as well, where they're going to be working until their 80s because they have no retirement. They never really did anything crazy because, like, you can focus on family so much where I have friends and buddies where their wives have rules that you have to be home by 3 or 4, like crazy. And there's absolutely no client work. There's no business work. We do not talk about business absolutely at all. Like, you're here for the family, for the kids, and they respect that. But I see that that's a struggle. That's really tough. And they're not going as far as they could because like blatantly 100%, you can't work 6-hour days and expect to beat someone in your market working 12.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's the opposite end of the extreme, which is you don't make the required sacrifices. And in 10 years, you're still working the same, or 20 years, 30 years, still working the 40-hour weeks. You still can't take the vacations, and you still can't make those times, have those family times.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think it's a tough balance. And like I said, impossible balance, as a young dad. It's something on my mind. So as someone in a similar position, like working hard, growing something, has young kids, wanted to hear your take on that.
Yeah.
Is entrepreneurship something that you would want for your children?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, people talk about it like the hardest job ever. I don't think it's the hardest job ever, but I think it is the most bipolar, right? I think you have some of the highest highs and lowest lows, right? You sign a client, you get a deal, you're making money. Things are like the euphoria I get when, like, for example, I turn on ads, I create a new offer, I work my whole system, I create an attraction offer, I create a beautiful funnel, I write amazing copy, I validate it, I work my magic, I turn it on, it works beautifully, I've got leads coming in, I've got a bunch of book calls, I start signing clients like crazy. That feeling is one of the most euphoric in the world.
You did everything right. The results are coming. Like
Exactly.
the views are coming. The clip is crushing it.
Yes.
170,000 views and counting on one of them. And I'm like, oh,
exactly.
yeah, this is sick.
Yes, absolutely. But the next day, right? Like you could have, or a couple days later, which just happened a couple times, you realize that one of the clients you brought on sucks. They are a terrible worker. They don't return your text or your calls or your message or your, you know, like when you submit ads to them or you ask to meet, they very rarely get back to you. They're also not very good at, as a client themselves, like their business isn't very good. Like you start to realize all these problems, and then, or one of your clients calls you and they're like, hey, this happened for real. Like, hey, my house just got ruined by renters. I don't have any money to pay you because I needed 30 grand to fix this house up real quick. And then for the next couple of days, you're kind of in like a, it's very not depressive, but you're in a funk, and it just you feel very like, so it's just such a high and a low, and I'd say rejection is a huge part of that as well. When you I haven't had to deal with it as much, but when you make big swings, you have big misses, and if you don't make big swings, you'll never make it big. And so you gotta, it's a lot of euphoria and a lot of downside, and so that's why I'd recommend it for my kids, because if you can handle that, it makes you extremely, extremely resilient. I mean, salespeople are some of the most resilient people in the world, like door-to-door salesmen, especially, but as an entrepreneur, someone who owns the outcomes of everything is your responsibility. It makes you, I think you grow as a person so much better. It makes you so much more well-rounded. You have to be humble too. You can't be, not that I'm humble or anything, but you have to realize if somebody doesn't like your product, it might not be them. It could be your product sucks. If they don't like your service, it's not producing results, dude, it could just be you suck. And you have to take it, and you have to run with it, and you have to fix it. And I think that's something extremely valuable versus, and there's a lot of things you can learn, you know, going the opposite direction of never owning a company, you know, corporate, or there's a lot of other things like being a firefighter, stuff like that are very valuable as well. But the kind of lessons I think you learn as an entrepreneur is I'd recommend for everybody.
So in your entrepreneurial journey, let's say next 5 years, what's on the roadmap for you? What are your goals?
Well, I think in 5 years, I'm going to ideally be, so this is another thing I differ from a lot of people. I don't really care as much about where I'm, like, I don't really have big goals, because I have had quite a few people in my life where that's been their whole thing of like goals, especially monetary goals. I want to be at 1 million ARR. I want to be at 10 million ARR. I want to be at 100 million at this point. And they kind of map out everything, and they've got all the projections. The projections don't lie. Here's the projections. We're going to hit 10 million ARR, right?
Dude, I've got a finance degree. I know that projections have never been accurate.
Yeah. Or inaccurate, you mean. They've never been inaccurate. They're always right, right?
No.
They never miss.
Projections are, like, economists are the worst kind of people, because they argue about like, oh no, this is what is going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Like people at the big banks, they're like, oh, this is what we see happening. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like you can do, one of the reasons I hate finance and like picking stocks, like you can have everything right and you still don't know what's going to happen. Like you can do all the modeling you want to, you can dive into the financials of a company. You cannot tell me what the stock price will be tomorrow. You do not know.
No idea. You
can have all the information in front of you, all the best models, doesn't matter. Projections don't mean a thing.
Yep, exactly.
Sorry, mini rant, but
no,
but yeah,
I agree, and that's my goal right now. The only thing I really care about is making a service so good that it would grow without any sort of marketing or sales. And there's the saying, which is product is king, which is like I heard this from, I don't remember which entrepreneur, but he said, if you have to do a lot of marketing, it's because you suck at sales. If you have to do a lot of sales, it's because you suck at product, or failed. I think the word he used was failed. You failed at product. And that is partially true, because when competition comes in, you have to do all levers. But right now, I have seen a lot of people who focused on marketing, and forecasts and projections and goals. And that just ignores the fundamental, what you're delivering and what the customers are getting and how happy are they, and are they telling other people about it, which is the compounding returns. Like you're never it's going to be really hard to get past 10 figures from what I've seen. Like, not that I have the most experience, but past 10 figures, if you are not having people talk about you. Like that's the compounding returns. If you have to spend for if I have to run ads for every single customer, I probably can to a certain point, but after that it gets cost prohibitive, and then my company caps. If people aren't, you have to have people happy with your service, and that's the only thing I'm focused on right now. So I do have some like idealistic goals. Like for next year, I want to hit a certain client number just for kind of proving that I can scale this essentially. But besides that, I want to make something amazing, which is the past few months. That's really what I've been focused on. I took on 5 clients, and I'm just literally the past 2 months I've just been making it absolutely amazing for those clients. That's it. I haven't been taking on new clients. Yeah, like that's it. So
just 100% white gloves for them.
Yeah, which is probably a bad idea, but that's the stage of business I'm in right now.
Yeah, I mean at this stage, like maybe that's better, right? Like you get to try this out and like, is this the model that I should be in? Should I be 100% white glove for a small number of clients? Is that the best way to do things?
Yep.
Let's find out right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so luckily it seems to be the right thing. So I think
so far so good.
I've gone in the right direction. I might it seems like I'll have to pivot more on types of delivery within the service. It's not like I'm gonna have to switch the service or change a whole lot about it. So that's the good part. And the nice thing is too, I've done every single part of the business multiple times for multiple clients and figured out what the best way to do what better ways to do certain things are. So I think it has set me up because we had this nest egg. I am not super worried about growth, and we don't have a huge house on the hill with a bunch of car payments. I am not stressed. I don't have to hurry growth, and then get punched in the gut from like doing a terrible job. I can just focus on 4 clients, make it amazing, and then next year just in Q1, which by the way, Q1 ads are the cheapest for B2B services. So if you're gonna run ads or you want to grow and you're a B2B service, Q1 is the time to do it. So PSA, it's the cheapest time. That's when all the consumer brands have tailored off their spend from the holidays. So
I did not know that.
Yes.
Good to know. Thanks for the PSA.
Yes.
Well, if people want to hear more from you, if they want to use your service, learn more, connect, where can they do that?
LinkedIn primarily. That's where I'm on a lot. So Samuel Hirst on LinkedIn, or I've got my website as well. You could book a call with me on my website, door-scale.com. DoorScale was taken, so door-scale.com.
By the way, DoorScale.com. I know that they might have the domain, but like the website is not working. I tried to go to DoorScale.com. It wouldn't load for like a minute and a half.
No way.
Like, wow, his website sucks. And then I went to your LinkedIn profile, and I'm like, is that the right? Oh no, it's not even the right address.
Yeah.
So like they're just,
well,
you should buy it off them.
I should, because who knows how many people are going to just like think that's my website.
I thought it was your website until I went to verify from your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. So hopefully that one loaded for you.
Yeah. So we'll put the correct domain in the show notes.
Perfect. Yeah. So pretty simple.
Well, Sam Hirst, thanks for coming on the show.
Dude, it was amazing. Thank you very much.